The other day I told you about this absolute shambles that CBS had, inadvertently, secretly leaked, behind that, well, very strange interview with Harry and Meghan on their Sunday morning show. And even now, when you watch it back, I don't know if you agree, you don't know what it's about. I think what you saw there was a wearing couple who'd had a huge argument about the direction. Harry clearly didn't want to be there, and, she was kind of doing her best, but really, even her heart wasn't in it. You could see that. And then, of course, it was all meant to be about the Parents Network or something, and that was kind of lost in the fact that what we were seeing literally was an on-screen fight between the two of them. And whether you didn't pick up on it or not, you can see the fact that she's really exasperated by Harry, and I think he was trying to stick to a plot, and once again Meghan was turning it back to herself with her suicidal thoughts, all of that sort of stuff. What's interesting though is that behind the scenes, as many people know, apparently there was explosive arguments, literally afterwards, because it didn't go the way that they thought and all of that sort of stuff. And again, it was one of these cack-handed setup things that you think, well, what was this about? Now here's where it gets really interesting. Let me explain. Hi, good morning. Nice to see you. Thank you so much as ever for we'll have a lovely wave. Sorry, are you all right today? Still in the rain. It's not bad though, I suppose. Yeah, well, keeps things fresh, doesn't it? You know what I mean. Now, listen, I wanted to ask you this also. When you were younger, did you have one of these, a colouring in book, I used to quite like them actually. Now, a new report has come out, and I always like to share these things with you because, we remember these things, right? And apparently a new report has come out that in school, they've been giving these out, and this has been a great distraction to get children off their iPad screens, and phones and stuff. Something we never had. I mean, you wouldn't dare, would you? You wouldn't dare get anything out because you'd be smacked or kicked out or detention or whatever. And they apparently find this is a great way of getting a child to just focus on something else, give them some colouring pens and all that sort of stuff. Looks like they're making a return. And I thought about this, and I know there's some sort of, colouring books for adults and people laugh, but it can be therapeutic, can't it? Is it something you still do, or did you do, and did you enjoy it, because I like the fact that all the bits were there and all you had to do was put your own colours in. Simple things, simple pleasures, right? You know what I mean? That's the gig, isn't it? Do let me know, as ever. I love to know your stories, so do keep them coming in the comments below. Colouring in or not colouring in? Back as ever to your royal story of the day. This was a bombshell in the CBS interview, wasn't it? Where Meghan Markle got once again to speak about her suicidal tendencies, well, all part of the British monarchy. And as you remember, very famously, she said she'd only scratched the surface. Couldn't really detail it, of course, unless there was a fact check waiting at the end of it. And then she could tell all, couldn't she, of course, which we're now waiting for. What I find fascinating about this particular story is the fact that, according to a well-placed source working on the show, the bit that now is missing, that we haven't seen, heard from, whatever you want to call it, is the fact that Meghan apparently was asked, well, why didn't you ask or seek advice from your husband? Now, this is a man that had been involved with all sorts of mental health charities. We know he'd had personal therapy, and this was the question that Oprah Winfrey decided she wasn't going to do. She sidestepped it all. Well, apparently this went off like a rocket. And this was part of the thing that's now being clipped out and apparently, nowhere to be seen, never to be seen. Now, I don't know about you, I think this was an integral part of this. This would have been a very wonderful chance for Harry to explain to the world exactly why he couldn't help his wife. Let's not forget, at this point, they got heads together going long before Meghan had come on the scene, so they would have had some invaluable contacts. He looked shifty, downcast, played with his jacket, didn't seemingly want to answer the question, and she clutched out onto his knee. A lot of signage there to basically say stick to the plot, whichever way you look at it. But the bottom line is even CBS allegedly are holding back as to the response to that, and why so far we haven't seen that particular clip. Over to you, CBS. Why don't you share it? That really would give some insight into the validation of this particular very strange but yet not clear story. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.